Welcome to Elevating La Cultura podcast, a space where I talk with Latinas who are passionate about what they do and willing to share their wisdom with others to change the narrative, especially for the next generation. Each season is centered around different topics, but all with a Latina perspective. This is season 2, focused on health and wellness. So vámonos, and let's get into it. Hola familia! I can't believe we're in June already of this year. Time is going by much faster than last year. This week, I'm excited to share my conversation with Crystal from Verde Wellness Studio. She's an energy holistic practitioner and massage therapist. She shares about how she's continuing her family's ancestral legacy by offering practices and massage therapies that have been passed down through generations. She's also been intentional about serving the community she grew up in. Crystal offers so much encouragement in this episode, so I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hello! I am very happy to be able to talk to Crystal today. She is a massage therapist and a holistic energy practitioner with Verde, and I am going to let her talk us through who she is.
So my name is Crystal Dorado. I got really lucky. I married into that name. And I always tell my husband we get divorced, I'm keeping the last name. Just kidding. But anyways, I like to goof and joke, but I'm a energy holistic practitioner. I'm a massage therapist and I'm a small business owner. The Holistic Wellness Studio, which everybody calls Verde, is located in the heart of Chicago in the Pilsen neighborhood. I was born and raised in the neighborhood. And when I ended up wanting to open my own business within the neighborhood, and this was completely inspired by my father always had this saying when I was really young, and he would tell my brother and me this. And so we both know this saying by heart. And he would always talk to us about our community. And he would say, we have the 290, we have the 55, we have the 9094. So we're right in the center of the city. We have two stations coming to Pilsen, two L stations, one in Chinatown and one close the pink line now. We have a bus running through here, and we're like 10 minutes away from downtown. And he would always say, as Hispanics, as minorities and Hispanics, we had to come back into our own communities once we were educated and cultured to be the positive change that we wanted. We didn't need saviors, and we didn't need anyone to change our community for us. So when I started my business, I intentionally went into Pilsen because I have family still there. I was born and raised in the neighborhood. And when I named my business, I intentionally named it a Spanish name that my community could pronounce. So for me, it was very natural to go to Verde. And for me, Verde means green and means holistic. It means how I was raised. And it reminds me of the color of the heart chakra, which is the energy that the heart chakra emanates out. And green is also a healing color. So the business is known as Verde, but this is the reason why I named it Verde. And it's funny when you hear white people try to pronounce Verde and they're like Verde. And then you can tell the Hispanics, they can pronounce it properly, Verde, and they know what it means. So it's very funny to see that sometimes. It just kind of brings me a smile because I knew I intentionally did the right thing.
I love that your father said that to you and instilled that mindset from an early age. That
Yeah.
is beautiful because you usually hear the opposite.
Yeah. My dad was just a very compassionate, loving person. He was also a person that had a lot of internal conflicts. He did end up being addicted to heroin for a couple of years. But, when you treat the true essence of someone, and my father's true essence was very compassionate, very loving, very caring. And I would always see this in him. Like he would just see deep within people's souls. He can just tell what people were going through and feeling. And he would just always say, he was always just a very positive influence in anyone's life that he touched. And so, this was just something he brought us up with in believing in our community. And he loved being from the neighborhood. I mean, so it was something that he taught us to love our community also.
That is so beautiful. And I do think that there is something to be said when you, like you said, you named your studio something that your community could pronounce. And I feel like I have an immediate connection to businesses that are named in Spanish. And it's it's something that I can't really describe, but I feel like I want to be there. Like I want to give them my business. I immediately know that those are my people, and I feel connected. So yes, I totally um, understand the idea of wanting to name something uh, for your community.
Yeah, I think it's really empowering. It's just very empowering, and I feel like with my experience in the spa industry, like if I had seen a salon or a spa or spa, named in a Spanish name, it usually wouldn't reflect the owner. And sometimes I think in all categories that kind of bothers me sometimes because it was an empowering move that I did. And in the spa industry, I think as Hispanics or my experience in working in one, um, it feels like such a luxury service, but this is actually an ancestral service that I learned and the reason why I went into it. But when I would see other Latinas or Latinos bring like their mothers or their grandmothers or aunts, and their aunts couldn't speak any English, and then they would end up getting me as a practitioner. I worked on Wabash at this really nice upscale spa, and you know, they would feel so out of place. But then when they would see me and they would see my face, and then they would hear me speaking in Spanish to them, they felt comfortable and empowered and finally felt like they belonged. And so that was really intentional coming back to the neighborhood, and that was really intentional and me naming it. Like it was a sense of empowerment for my community and for myself.
Why don't you walk us through like why you chose this profession and walk us through how you're continuing that cultural legacy?
So I chose this profession because it's an ancestral thing. It's an ancestral knowledge and healing art that I inherit. My grandfather was a sobador and huesero, which a sobador is someone who massages, and huesero is like a chiropractor. He would do adjustments, and people in the neighborhood would come to him. And these in our neighborhoods, in our Mexican neighborhoods, this is traditionally our first healers. Like these are our doctors. And my grandmother was a llevera, so she was an herbalist, but she also focused like on women's health. Like would do like womb massages and massages for the children and like their mollera fell off. That's like the top of their head, the soft spot. Or when we were empachados, when they were they had like sick stomachs, and then people would come and get yerba, like yerba santa, yerba buena from her, and yerba just means herbs. And so it was really nice to kind of this and see how much a difference, like my grandfather, especially when I would see him like massage people, and I would see him like adjust them, and he would like pull on their joints and things, and I would see people like release, and he would tell them like let it go, like release, don't hold on to that motion, it's making you sick. And to see the power that he had in his hands and the way he would relieve people's pain and physically seeing them cry, like I always would think like, man, like I wish I had that power. Like he had this deep intuition of helping people move energies and move, ailments within their own bodies. So I just naturally went into it. Eventually, it wasn't something that I had kind of like, it wasn't something that I had felt when I was younger that I was going to do it. I never thought that I was going to take on this practice for my grandparents. But some point in my life, knowing that my grandparents did this kind of work, I kind of got ashamed of it at some point in my life as a teenager when I was trying to relate to other people. I was just kind of ashamed of it, and at one point, I didn't want anything to do with it because it's very weird to say to people, like, I'm sure la sobada con el huevo.
Yes.
When I would be sick, my grandmother would do la sobada con el huevo, and so when you massage with the egg, it's supposed to absorb your energy, whatever you're holding within your energy fields. Like, if you have ailments in your organs, it's supposed to absorb the negative energy into it. So these were just things that, you know, and just not very common outside of my community. My grandmother would also like massage you and smack you with herbs and boil copal in your face or smoke. It's so these were just not things that were very normal outside of my community. And I would even within my family, my parents were divorced, so my father's family was a little bit more Americanized than my mother's family. So even in that demographic, it would be kind of strange. Like when I would go to my grandmother's house, my kids would be like, "Why do you smell like burnt tortillas? And why do you, you know?" And I'd be like, "You, whatever, whatever's." But so, but when I became when I became a parent, I had a mentor, and I had worked a lot in the Mayor Daily programs, and I had to like a lot of administrative work and working in offices. And I had this really great mentor, and she told me once, like, you know how you'll learn what you really want to do in your life is by knowing the things that you dislike. Like, figure out what you want to do with your life and your passion by figuring out what you don't like. And I knew that I did not like working in office or administrative things. I was always a very like active person. So I was like, when I went back to work, when I went to school after having my 3 kids and trying to get a career, I was like, I don't want to go work an administrative job. Like, I cannot be someone you can stick in a 4-room wall in front of a computer because first of all, I dislike electronics and computers. And second, I would go mad. So I went back to what I felt comfortable with, like what I knew. And I thought about, like, why don't I pick up massage? Like, I used to love my parents do it. Like, why don't I try it? And I remember telling my husband, he's like, I'm not sure, if that's a good choice for you. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to massage therapy school and see. And I did. And I loved it. And I flourished. And I was a natural. And I was just a natural gift. And it's just something that runs in my family. And I had asked my grandfather, like, where did you learn this from? And he said, oh, I inherited from my grandma. I learned from my grandmother. And I was like, where did she learn it from? And he was like, oh, she learned it from her grandfather. And I was like, in him? Where did he learn it from? And my grandfather's like, all right, already, get out of here. Like, it's something that we learn through our family, and it's something that we inherit. So, it was just a gift that we had, and everyone in my family did it. It's like we all massaged and adjusted each other, but some of us, no one ever took it to the extent that I did or my grandfather did. And then my grandmother, I would ask her stories, like, where did you learn about plants? And she would always tell me, oh, our family came from the mountains down into the village. We were indigenous people from the mountains. We come from the Aztec and the Mayan, and great leaders and people and medicine people. And so this is just something that we learn from our families. And she would just talk, and she would tell me, like, speak to the plants. And, if you speak to your plantitas, they'll grow for you and they'll blossom for you, and thank them for their medicine and their knowledge. And my grandmother would even show me like flower essences. So like I knew how to taste roses, and I knew like what lemon balm tastes like, and like spearmint, because these were things that grew in our garden, living in the inner city. And I would learn how to go in the yard barefooted and walk in the dirt and pick different flowers for medicinal purposes. Like, whenever we had ailments, it was either massage or first thing was plants. We went to herb medicine before we went to the doctor. You finally went to the doctor when things were extreme.
I think that's amazing that you continued down your ancestral legacy path without even like realizing how far back it went. Like it was in you already.
Yeah, it was just in me already. And when I went to it and I embraced it, because I had rejected it for so long. And when I had embraced it, it was just so easy and natural. And it was just like and it's a gift that I use every day in my life, even till now. And it's a gift that I share with my family and I share with my children. So it's a legacy that I'm leaving that my grandparents gave me, and it's beautiful that I get the opportunity to honor them and their legacy and their knowledge, their ancestral knowledge. And that's why it was so important for me to open my business community, because it was like, you know, I want medicine in my community. Like, this is not something that's a luxury. This is something that was a necessity. And this was our first are the people that we went to, las curanderas y los curanderos, that were our first doctors that we went to within our community.
Yes, and I remember going to Mexico when I was young, and whenever we would go there, like, my sister and I would always end up with, like, an upset stomach, and I remember my tia, she is passed now, but my we would go to my tia's house, and we would get there, and after being there for a few days, our stomach was kind of adjusting to the food, and she would give us the sobada and put, like, an orange peel, I remember, and she would, nos jalaba,
The
and
back?
yes, and, like,
Yeah.
I I would not look forward to that, but um, I remember that that was every time we would go to Mexico, she would have after a few days, she would have us lay down and we would be better. We would be able to adjust to the food easier, and she passed when I was younger, and I wish that I would have really taken time to ask her more questions and learn more about where she learned how to do this, ask her more about it, ask her to maybe teach me so that I could do sobadas when I was not feeling well back in the United States. Um, so I do value keeping that part of our history and our culture alive because I know that I miss not being able to tap into that myself now that my aunt has passed. Um, but
Yeah.
yes, I feel like that is so important, and it's so important for us to also educate the next generation and to pass that on because I feel like it's getting lost. I don't hear about it as often.
No, no. And I've even lost some of it because my grandmother died when I was 15, so I did a lot of time. And then as my grandfather got older, his memory wasn't as well. So getting him to sit down. So I didn't really take the opportunity to get knowledge, the extensive knowledge that I needed from them when I was young because I was too busy rejecting it at that time. And now that I've been and getting in contact with teachers and people and even like now I reference my in-laws because my mother-in-law knows how to do the massage. Yeah, and it's so interesting that we pull the back to release, but as I've gone to massage school and I've learned the anatomy of the muscles, we have a major muscle that runs diagonally and actually attaches into our lower lumbar. If it's called systems, I'm going to get into my muscles, and so it runs diagonal pelvic bone, and so when you pull on the back, it releases, and that muscle, the psoas muscle, can affect your pelvic floor. It can affect like your bladder, your urinary system, and even your intestines. So I see why they were pulling because whenever I would ask my grandparents questions, or whenever you do ask people who do this kind of work, is they say, just follow your intuition. It was always follow your intuition, and I was always a child that was a little bit more curious, like, yeah, okay, I get the intuition part, but what is it exactly that it's pulling? Like, what is it doing exactly? And now I can see the reference to it, but it is almost becoming a lost art. And it's hard because children some of it, but they're at that stage in their lives where they're like, "No, mom, I don't really want to do it." And it's funny because my daughter has the hands for it. My daughter's really, really good at massaging and she massages me and I've showed her techniques and things and she's just like, "No, I don't want to take it to the next level." And I'm, "Oh, you know." But yeah, it is becoming a lost art and I think it's really important that we try to honor that this art and try to reconnect to it as a people because I feel like as a Mexican or like Mexican culture, we deal with obesity, unhealthy, like diabetes and all these other issues that are not really diseases or illnesses that we might have dealt with generations before, a couple of 2, 3 generations before. And we have these ancient healing arts that need to be re-empowered and reintroduced to our culture so we can go back to these as resources. whenever we need ailments, because I still use these healing arts that my grandparents taught me in my everyday life. Um, so and even I've used them throughout my lifetime for my children. So I think it's really important that as people we try to honor this, empower ourselves, and support the people that are doing this kind of work.
Yes, 100%. And maybe your daughter will come around.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully.
Yes. Um, so why don't you walk me through the services that you provide? Because I know that like it's not just a massage studio, which um, most people think of like if you were to go to a massage place, like you just get a massage, or it's called like a spa. Like if you're at another, like I know that I usually have seen like places refer to spa treatments, and it's like just massages, just like a facial, or like you can book foot massages, hand massages. But I've been like yours is a holistic wellness studio. So, and I know that you offer more than just massages. So, why don't you walk us through uh, all the services that you provide and how they're all a part of the holistic living?
Yes, that I really believe in, and this is something again that I created my in serving the mind, body, and soul, because that was something that I had learned from my grandparents through my ancestral knowledge. You know, they didn't just physically address the person's ailments; they also addressed the spiritual elements of the that would do adjustments when my grandmother would give herbs or even talking to the plant. So as I started to work as a massage therapist, I realized at some point that I needed to address my client's spiritual aspect and emotional aspect. So at Verde, we have massage as a basis, but we also offer other services. So we do like the lymphatic massage, deep tissue, the traditional, what they call Swedish, which is like a massage. Um, we do hot stones. We do have massage that include like foot reflexology with it, but a little bit different. We do like peppermint wraps instead. I don't like to call anything spa treatments because they're not based on spa treatments, but we also do energetic services. So we do like Reiki, cranial sacral. We even do a fovada that is traditionally based on my grandparents' knowledge with con aceite de copal. We do a cleansing of the energy system with copal. I massage how they taught me how to massage. So in Mexican culture and in our indigenous culture, they believe in massaging the stomach, which in the Western society, they don't really massage the stomach. And in our indigenous culture, the reason why I believe they believed in so much massaging the stomach is because we hold so much of our immune system in our gut health. All of our organs are there. So when I do that massage or when we do that massage, we address the full body. So you're literally getting a massage from head to toe. We do a limpiada con copal, to cleanse your energetic body. And we also open the sacred directions. So opening the cardinal directions and bringing all of that energy in. We do a sobada con piernas de obsidian. So that again pulls the negative energies out of your body that you're holding within your energy body. That's available there for you to work with. We also have a practitioner that does qigong, and now we're going virtually where we're offering like virtual yoga, virtual qigong classes where we do like every Sunday a community flow for the community, and it's donation based. We also do virtual workshops, and we hope to have them in house, which we do like meditation. So we're not just looking at the person in the physical space, but we're looking at the person as the whole being, the whole spiritual being, because you can't have healing if you don't address the whole issues. First, yes, you have to address the physical, but then eventually you will have to address the spiritual aspect of the person.
I have so much in my head right now. Um, I love like when I think about this season for the podcast for me, I think about like educating people and like starting this conversation of wellness isn't just like an easy something you can fix easily. And so I really like that you are focusing on all of that, like that whole piece. I feel like you said, like this focusing on your whole body helps us to be in tune with who we are and how we can work through some of the struggles that we're going with, whether it's anxiety, stress, depression. Um, it takes a whole body healing to be able to start working towards um, wellness in your mental space. Um, but I feel like I don't know, like the Latinx perspective, like we get it, and it's because that has been like an ancestral legacy that we have in us. Um, but I do want you to like maybe talk a little bit about why you think educating ourselves on this is so important, especially in the Latinx community. I know you said a little bit about how we need some of these things to come back because of the wellness that we have been seeing in our community or the struggles that we've been seeing in our community. Um, but I wanted to have you talk a little bit more about that.
I think it's empowering for us first. In the wellness community specifically, you don't have that many people who are people of color that own these kind of holistic wellness studios. Like, I can probably name four within the whole Chicagoland area. When there's no one in my community doing what I was doing, which shouldn't be that way. Um, and service these are services that are based on my ancestral knowledge and healing. But people of color have these ancestral knowledge and healing arts in their cultures, from African to North and South American, have these healing arts. And, when you look at the wellness community, over whitewashed. You're seeing people who are doing cacao ceremonies that are not even in our own culture. And, our people were prosecuted. They couldn't do cacao ceremonies. They couldn't use the cacao for its medicinal purposes. And when people are doing these services that are not people of brown and black or people of color, I'm not saying that it's what I'm saying is that they have to honor their teachers. They have to honor the lineage. They have to honor the people. And they can do things by offering these services for people of color, possibly for free, and giving back. But I believe it's a sense of empowerment that the wellness community has taken these arts, because even if you look at yoga and Ayurveda, these are Hindu, these are services and knowledge and ancient teachings of the Vedics that come from Hindu religion. And again, these are people of color. A lot of these wellness, spiritual, what we call new age, is not new age. This is generational knowledge of people of color that has been taken away from their families and criminalized and used as a tool to oppress them. And now it's time for our communities to take it back and become empowered by it. And so I always felt like if I didn't do this and do this in my community, somebody who didn't look like me or look like the rest of the people in my community is going to come back and do it.
I,
And so
yeah.
that I was like, the way I had designed Verde currently was really inspired by my time that I had spent in Tulum. I had spent some time and made really good friends out there with the Mayan people. And I've learned about their cultures. And, there's the Quiche and there's the Mulpan Mayans, and they actually speak different dialects. But while I was out there and learning from them and spending time with them, one of the things I found out when I was in Mexico and Tulum was that they had um, Massage Envy has scouts out there at the different, trying to get to the different people and trying to learn that ancestral indigenous knowledge and massage, so they eventually want to be able to build, like in Cancun and those resort places, these kinds of services and offer them, hopefully. So this is what I want people to know. Your ancestral knowledge is being seeked out so it can be made into corporate and profit, because there is deep knowledge out there. And if you and I do not reclaim it, it's going to be reclaimed for someone, it's going to be claimed by someone else and taken away from us again. And now we're in the space and the ability to live out our ancestors' dreams and hopes and aspirations. My grandfather was never able to make a business out of his healing arts, and neither was my grandmother. And I don't even know if they would have wanted to, but you know, now I can be a spokesperson for it and speak about it and say, no, I have the right to reclaim it. I have the right to practice it. And I have the right to make a living off of it. This is something that's been in my family for years. This is something that runs in my blood. And so I think that's why it's so important that people of color take this back and allow themselves to be empowered.
Representation matters, and it's important because, like you said, someone else is going to do it. Someone else who is not in that community is going to do it and profit off it. I feel like that is a pattern and a cycle that we've seen since the Americas were colonized, and it's only continuing. And so, yes, I do think that that's something that we can encourage other people to tap into their cultural ancestral legacy and see who they are and how they can continue that legacy for their family.
And it's not just healing for you, but it's healing for the generations behind you and the generations and forward of you. It gives them like a ground to stand on. Like my children know where their lineage comes from. They know they're the stood within their, like this gives them a sense of knowing more of who they are instead of feeling excluded so much. And there has to be a balance between this Western kind of medicine and also this energetic and healing and ancient medicine. And I hope that the medical community within the future, that medicine completely shifts and they're not just addressing the physical aspect of disease and illness, but they're also addressing the energetic. And you're seeing that a little bit now, but I hope that it really catalyses that these can blend in together, because when you're trying to heal the physical aspect, you have to address the other aspect. And that's where we should go back to this indigenous healing and these arts, these ancestral healing arts, because there is knowledge there. There is medicine there. There is healing there that empowers us and it gives us the ability to take back our own health into our own hands. And and it makes us understand the whole body system, not physically but also energetically. And what does that mean? I remember my grandmother would talk about the organs like if they were holding emotion, and she would always tell me like, if you keep being such an angry person, I was always a temperamental kind of child, you're going to end up rotting your liver one day. And I would always be like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard come out of here. In my head, I didn't say that to my grandmother. I would always be like, but yes. And now I've learned that yes, there is an energy system. Yes, the organs do hold emotions. Yes, you can store trauma and pain within your own body. And when you learn how to help your body self heal also through the energetic system, you can you can heal your whole body. Like the body has this whole inner intelligence that we're just not very aware of.
Yeah, I feel like more people need to hear that and start their journey of figuring out what that means to them.
Yeah. You had talked about stress, you can go get a massage or a facial, but if it keeps repeating, cycles are trying to get your attention. That's karma. Karma is a cycle. It's a repetition of things over and over and over until it gets your attention so you can change it. And, if you're not changing, you're not listening, you're repeating that cycle over and over again, nothing's going to work because you're not addressing the root cause. What is the root cause of your stress? What is the root cause of your anxiety? And that's what we hope to help you do is find that root cause. And sometimes it could be as simple as handing over your power. Sometimes it was not placing your boundaries. Yeah, you go get this great massage, but your boyfriend didn't show up for your date like he told you for the third time, and then of course the massage that you just spend money to get isn't going to work because you're repeating the same thing over and over again. You're not listening to your boundaries, you're not listening. And our body point of of our intuition, like our body's telling us things are wrong, something's not functioning, something's not working. Those are that's why we get the physical symptoms, because we're not accustomed to the energetic symptoms. We're accustomed to the physical symptoms in our body. And when that happens, it means because it's telling us something. Our system, our body's telling us something, saying, wake up, there's something wrong, you're unhappy. And then you tap into your deeper knowledge, your heart, and you ask yourself, why am I unhappy? Well, you have somebody who doesn't honor your boundaries, doesn't cherish you, and doesn't respect you, and continues to cross your boundaries over and over. So you can continue the cycle of getting massages, or continue the cycle, or change it. And that's where our emotions come in. Oh, now I'm going to go into another whole tangent. So if we have emotions, you know people think anger is bad, or frustration is bad. No, it's a call to action. So it means you either have to change your perspective, or change the behavior, or change isn't always a bad thing. Like, you have to change the situation or change your perspective.
Yes, that makes sense. I feel like I am doing some realization of my own right now. Um, yeah. And I love how the services you offer are so, especially now that you said that you've gone virtual and are offering like virtual options. I feel like a lot, especially because of COVID, everyone had
Mhm.
to shift and pivot to virtual. But I've been following and seeing the resources that you put even on Instagram and online, um, because like you said, like you offer the lymphatic massage therapy, but someone might not know what that means. And I saw that you recently uploaded a video or did like a live where you showed what that was, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is really informative." Um, and I feel like it's like social media has been great for that education piece. Like if people don't know what it is, they can find it on the internet. But specific to your studio, like if you're offering this specific service and they might not know what that would look like, they can see that on your Instagram, or like even tapping into, I know that you offer meditation, like live meditation every week. And
Yes,
that
so
is
we do. Yeah,
a
we do
great resource.
Yeah, we do meditation Mondays, either at 5 or 6, and you can always tune in. So every Monday we have a free meditation, and it's about 30 to 40 minutes. Because, like you mentioned before, people have so many issues like with meditation. They just don't know how it works or how it functions. So yeah, and that's something that we want to continue to grow and generate, make accessibility, because people feel like these things are not accessible. And yes, they are accessible, and they're accessible for everyone. We've even talked about like doing classes and workshops eventually for teens, and what had happened with Adam recently, that hit our community really hard. And we don't have enough of those resources available for our community and for our children. And what it is, how important it would be to bring mindfulness. I did some work with CPS for several years, about 2 or 3 years back. For like 5 years or 6 years, where I would do like mindfulness workshops for the teachers and for the students. And it was always so interesting to see that light bulb like turn on in their heads, how important mindfulness can be to their lives and their perspective and changing them. And I've worked with children. I have two children that their father had died. He had got um, killed at gunshot, and their grandmother brought them to me and I did some energy healing with them. And to see them shift out of that experience of trauma, to change their perspective out of it, and to see them heal and connect with the beautiful memory of who their father was, instead of this whole tragic experience that they had. And this is something that unfortunately is very common within our community. So, again, making these things accessible to people, and that's the beauty of social media, that given us that opportunity to do that. And like showing people what it is to get a massage, because it's always so interesting when people ask, like, well, how do I get a massage? Or how does it feel? Or what is this? Or what do I do? And as a massage therapist, I've been doing this for 20 years now, to tell them what to experience. But it's always so interesting to see that so much anxiety build up around it. And it's like, it's really not. It's supposed to be relaxing. Like, you're in a safe space. We're here to hold space for you and to help you heal.
Yeah, I remember going to your studio to get a massage after running a race. This was 2019, so pre-COVID.
COVID.
Um, yes, and I am very much due for a massage again, and I think now that things are changing and shifting, um, I might be like ready to venture out and start doing services again.
We
But
have a great COVID protocol. So,
oh, that's that's good to know. I'll have you talk about that a little later. Um,
okay.
but I remember after getting the massage, like the massage therapist was asking me questions like, "How long do you stretch?" Or like, it was specifically a sports massage.
Hmm.
Um, she was asking me questions about my lifestyle, or like how often do I run? How long do I run? And then after the massage, she explained to me like the parts of my body that needed a little bit more work, or like what I should be doing throughout the day, and then told me like I told her I had another race coming up, and she was like, okay, well, this we can offer you like a pre massage race, and this is what it will do for your body, and then an aftercare massage rate or race massage, and this is what it can do for your body, and kind of like set me up for like better, I don't know, like being able to recover from a race better. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know this. I was just like, okay, I finish a race, I should get a massage to kind of like help me out, and then like keep on training. So I really appreciated the knowledge that she shared. I mean, this was, well, 2019, pre-COVID. Um, but I really saw value in the service that I that I got, because of the it wasn't like, okay, you're massaged, all right, see ya, maybe next time, I don't know. But she, like, the person made a really strove to make a connection with my body and educate me on what next steps could be. So I really appreciated that.
That
Um,
means that I'm doing a good job as an owner, because what I tell my therapists or the people that work for me is that it's not about quantity for us, it's about quality. And our job as a massage therapist or as a practitioner is to educate. So we're not just looking at what you're coming in for the moment. We want to develop plans to support you in your lifestyle. So she was educating you on pre-massage and post-massage, because this helps with recovery and this helps with endurance. So if you're someone who's athletic and you're someone that's doing massage, doing marathons and runs, you're putting a lot of stress on your body. So it's important for us to educate you, because this allows for the stress to be low in your body, and then you have a better endurance during your race. That's why you see athletes with these massage, services or therapists. Like we saw, what's his name, the swimmer? I can't even think it. Michael Phelps with
oh yeah.
cupping marks. Like we do cupping at Verde too. Um, so yeah, that's why it's important when we have our clients. I I repeat and we practice educating our clients so they know that they're just not coming in for a specific massage, but they're coming in for us to support their lifestyles. So that's why she was asking you all those questions. So that means that they're doing a good job.
Yes, I really appreciated it, um, my
And,
experience
and you
there.
and you saw the difference, your quality of run and your recovery.
Yes, for sure. Okay, I want to ask, I know you talked about how you weren't always like in the mindset of doing this kind of work, like especially like when you were younger, you were like, no. But what helped you move through those ideas or the limiting beliefs that kept you from wanting to pursue this to now pursuing this with your whole heart?
There was one moment that was like kind of a catalyst. Um, when I was young, I was very rebellious against anything to do with my culture. My grandfather was very machismo. Women served a purpose in the house. So I was all like, I skateboarded, I had my hair dyed, I chopped my hair off. Like I did not want anything to do with the kitchen or learn how to cook traditionally whenever they try to grab me to learn how to cook traditionally, which now I can. I can make enchiladas, pozole, mole, all from scratch. Um, but I just rebelled so much against the idealism of my culture and even like this kind of knowledge. I was completely about rebellion and just rebellious. But my husband had joined the military, so I'm a military wife. And we were living in Virginia, and I didn't have any support system there. Like I did not have any of my family there. And as a Hispanic Mexican, like being away from your family and raising three kids while your husband's on deployment on your own, like that is just not heard of, and that's very difficult. So I didn't have any support system, and I had been doing some work in the yard, and my back had went out. So like everybody else, I went to the emergency room. I couldn't walk, and they gave me muscle relaxers. And when I took these muscle relaxers, I have three kids, mind you, and I guess the muscle relaxers and the pain meds they gave me just knocked me out. And I woke up, and my daughter was like making quesadillas, and the kitchen was almost on fire. And I was like, oh my god, I can't take these things. Like I can't be like unconscious with three kids. And my daughter was like, mommy, I was so hungry, and you weren't waking up. So I make quesadillas, and she's already burning on the kitchen. But it's just like, oh my god. So I seeked out a massage therapist. Like I seeked out a massage therapist because I remember like, oh my god, I need like a chiro or a massage therapist. Like I can't heal with these medicines are not going to work for my life right now. Like this isn't going to do it. And then when I had the massage and like I went, for like 3 weeks, and then I got some chiropractic adjustments, and I just like was like, I wanted to go back to work. I was always a person that was very career driven. I was really young, and so I always knew I wanted a career. So I just kind of went back, but I knew that living in the States, I had to have like certifications and, licensing. And I loved anatomy. I wasn't someone who shied away from anatomy. I would like get anatomy books and just be like a nerd about it and just like go and like even the pathologies, I was like, oh yeah, wow. So yeah, that was just something that kind of catalyzed, like just this one little moment that really said, okay. And then as I became a massage therapist, I was really a sports massage therapist trained. So I learned about kinesiology, about sports massage therapists. My plan was I'm coming back to Chicago. I'm going to work for the Bulls or the Bears, and I'm going to be a sports massage therapist. And it just didn't happen that way. um, I started working at like chiros and spas and trying to find my element, but my father had got sick. He ended up with lymphoma, cancer, and I had to become his caretaker. And my employer at the time didn't support the time request off that I was asking to be with my father because the doctors had not given my father very much time to live. So my father was running on months, and I really wanted to be there for him. And so it was either my job or my father. And of course, it was my father. And thank God that my husband was making enough income to help us support the family on just one income at that time. But so I was there for my father, I helped him, he ended up transitioning and passing away, but, he was always the one that supported entrepreneurship, and once I became a massage therapist, it just became very natural and knowing to me that when I would physically massage my clients and I would push into their different body parts, like, sometimes I wouldn't get the kind of response I wanted their bodies to adjust to. Like, I would just work so hard and they wouldn't have these, like, moments of release, and they would keep coming back with the same issue and issue and issue. I just remember my grandfather. My grandfather would grab them and pull them and say, "Release it, let go of that emotion," and, like, there was one client that I specifically had, and he's now married and he's living and it's fantastic, but he was, like, just someone that had a lot of trauma and pain in his body, and he would see me weekly, sometimes even twice a week, and I couldn't get him to adjust until he started talking about his life. Then I started to, like, try to hold space and help him release it and ask him to do breathing techniques, and, um, then I went into energy work, like, I started seeking out energy work and Reiki, and from there, I started learning more, and then I got deeper where I would go to other, um, practitioners that, were Mexican, and I would ask them questions, and they would show me and tell me, "This is what we were adjusting, this is what we were doing," and then I ended up some time in Mexico, and again, spending time out there and asking questions, and more knowledge, and the more and more that I started to see the spiritual body connect with the physical body, and I started to see people shift, like, I started helping people change their lifestyles. Like, my first client that really awakened this in me, my father, first of all, my father really instilled the entrepreneurship spirit in me. Really did it more even the last months that I had with him. And then this client that I had during the same process that I was going through with my father, and I see him now, 8 years later, like, he was so down on himself, like, he didn't think he could be happily married, he didn't think that he was worthy of it, and through this experience of massage and helping him open himself energetic, now he has his first child, like, now he's moved on and he's living this great life and, like, this great potential of himself, and so it's like, to see the opportunity to cause transformation by bringing self-awareness and healing for my clients has just really opened up this ancestral knowledge within me. Like, it really, like, once I accepted it, once I saw it, once I let it flow, it just bursted open. Like, my ancestors were there with me. Like, I would feel them when I was doing treatments in the room. I still do. Like, they're the first energy spirits that come in. They're the first ones that are talking to me. They're even guiding me and showing me sometime, speaking words in my head. And the first place we find our intuition is our imagination. Just because in your head doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? Like, even when they talk about your mind body effect, like, your body doesn't know what is just a thought. If you're having the thought, your body's assuming that it's real. So that's how I started to connect. It just, like, blossomed once I accepted it, once I stood in my power, once I really understood how I was addressing my clients, like, it just blossomed. It just bloomed and grew, and I think it's, like, finally owning your truth, like, finally owning who you are. All of those things that came before that didn't make sense, they finally come to one point that finally makes sense. I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, that was great. That was great. I feel like it's a good shift now for me to ask you, like, what is encouragement or advice or like for the next generation who is either seeking to start their holistic wellness journey or get into this work.
trust your intuition. Trust it. Your imagination is a gift to your intuition. Trust yourself. Know yourself. There's going to be so many people that say no to you, that tell you that you're wrong, that have you question your ability, from your family to your friends to people. supposed to give you a loan to city office officials. Like, you're going to hear no so many times in your life, but do not give up hope on your dreams. As long as you're willing to work hard for it, as long as you're willing to believe in yourself, don't give up your power. No matter how strange or eccentric that you might sound or think, you're someone who says, I could talk to spirits. Like, now we have mediums out there, doing so well. Like, believe in your gifts, believe in your truth, no matter how strange they may be. As long as you're not hurting anyone else or yourself, believe in yourself, because only you really know yourself the best. You know your body, you know your mind, and you know your heart. And we give up our power so easily. Our children, we give up our power so easily. And those gifts about yourself that you don't think are gifts. So, like, if you're someone who talks a lot, and your teacher tells you, like, you need to be quiet, you're always talking so much, like, you're so distracting. That is a gift that you have. You can be a reporter, you could be a broadcaster, you could be an interviewer, you can be a podcaster. Like, if you're someone who likes to draw and doesn't do well with numbers, that's a gift. You can be an artist, you can be an entrepreneur, clothing line, like, you know, hone your gifts and your passion and the things that you love, because you can make a livelihood out of it. And your grandparents have, and your parents have deep connections to your roots. Listen to their stories, honor them, because in the Western culture, in the American culture, they're taught to disrespect elders so much. And in our culture, it's not like that. We spend time with our elders. They're with us at our family parties. They're with us at las fiestas y las festivales. They're with us at las carnavales. Like, they're with us. Honor them, love them, and cherish them, and spend as much time as you can from them, because they connect you to your foundation, your roots, and your truth. And when you where you come from, it makes it easier for you to move forward.
That is such powerful advice. Thank you so much. This whole conversation has been so great. So excited for people to listen to the wisdom that you shared today, and also the encouragement. I hope people listen to this and come away encouraged about who they are and empowered to embrace who they are. So thank you. Before we leave, tell people where they can find you.
So you can find Verde on Instagram at Verde HWS. You can find us at both Facebook at Verde Holistic Wellness Studio. I am also on Instagram, so it's Crystal_Dorado. And you can go on our website. We have a blog, so we have like different tidbits, lifestyle tidbits, meditations. We do our monthly yogas. We do the meditation Mondays. You can all find that on Instagram, but also on our website at verdehws.com.
Okay, and I'm going to share all the links at the end and also in the show notes for everyone to find you. And I really do hope people take advantage of the resources that you have available. And now that I'm starting to train for a half marathon in the fall, I will be coming back to the studio and getting my body ready.
Yeah, I would really recommend some Thai massage or shiatsu. So Thai is like what they call lazy man yoga. So the therapist stretches you, or cupping. And you
Okay.
could do your pre and post work.
Perfect. I'm gonna start my training probably in the next month. So I'm gonna be back at the studio. I'm excited.
Yeah, and we have great COVID protocols. So
Oh yeah, do you wanna talk through that? Like how does someone, if they have been like really anxious during this time or anxious about getting services done that are like one-on-one, walk us through the procedures that you have.
So everything is wireless. We send you all your intake paperwork that we ask you for online. So we either email it to you or we could text it to you, so you could fill that all out before you come. You could check in curbside. Make sure that we try to keep down the quality of people coming in and out. And then we do ask you to wear your mask. Each person that gets their own set of sheets. So your top blanket, your flat sheet, the fitted sheet, and then the face mask. The therapist is wearing a mask and eyeglasses. We disinfect after each client, and we give the clients 20 minutes to check in and out. And we also give you water to go. We send you a COVID questionnaire before you come, and then we do to any fees if you have to cancel if you're feeling any symptoms of COVID and illness. And everybody's been great. Anyone that's gotten sick or at work, we give them the time off. We tell them not to come in. So, yeah, we're doing really good with the COVID protocols, and we disinfect the room after each client, so the bed is completely disinfected.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's good to know. Good to know.
And we
Thank
do
you.
ask you to keep your face mask on during the whole procedure, and it doesn't really affect the massage or anything. And they don't take your face mask off. We don't do like a face massage. We'll do a little bit of a scalp massage on you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I feel like wearing a mask is like normal now. I mean, you have to wear it everywhere. So,
Yeah, exactly. So we just ask you to keep it on during the massage, and the therapist is also masked.
okay.
Yeah, I've been getting massages regularly during this whole COVID period and been perfectly fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I feel like the only reason that I have been like not doing anything extra is because I am still photographing weddings. And so I knew that I was more exposed than most people, or like more exposed to different larger groups of people. And so
Mhm.
last year I was like very cautious about doing anything other than my job. Um, so
Yeah,
so
totally
yeah.
understand. Yeah. But our clients have been great too. Like we make it so easy for you to be able to tell us, I'm not feeling well. I feel like I have symptoms coming on, or am I possibly? So we try to make that even easy for you. And our clients have all been really well about that.
Oh,
So
that's
we
great.
really appreciate that.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your Sunday to chat with me. I'm so excited for people to hear this episode, and I will hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you.
Yes, thank you. All right.
You're
See
welcome.
you see you later. Bye. Isn't her whole interview inspiring for those who have felt disconnected or embarrassed about our culture when we were younger? I love how she shares that she has reclaimed the value of holistic wellness through ancestral practices with the intention of sharing with others. I know that throughout this whole episode, I was feeling so nostalgic as she talked about some of the ancestral practices because I remember experiencing them as a kid with my tia. Okay, amigos, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share, take a screenshot to post on Instagram at Elevating La Cultura, or send me a DM. You can also comment on our YouTube video if you're watching online. I always like to hear from people and how they resonate with the stories that I share. So go on, enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, y nos vemos next week.